What's up, YouTube? This Shane got you 11, and I'm going to bring you my personal review of the Madden 23 beta. If you're not a subscriber, hit that subscribe button so you're notified for future tips during the Madden 23 season. Plus, every patch note will be dropped on this channel as well. Let's just get into this video right now. I've played about 20 games. 20 games to get a good feel of it, so there's enough I can go over, enough that I can feel. So in Madden 21 and Madden 22, especially, it was an offensive minded game. Madden 22, even the top pros, there was very little defense. Everybody ran 3-3-5 wide. Now, I'm not going to say that the pros aren't going to find one or two formations on offense and defense to help them, but in this year's beta so far, if the game dropped tomorrow, it's all about defense and smart playing. And what I'm talking about, it's all about smart playing. You can no longer do what you did in Madden 22 and run around with the QB and throw it crossbody into double or triple coverage, because you will get punished, you will get picked off. The zones are exceptional. They're very, very good. They might be a little OP, but not much. My biggest concern right now is the pass rush is OP for sure. It's a little OP. It's more OP than the zones. I actually think if the pass rush was toned down just a little bit, then everything would be perfect on this game. If you're a good passer, I mean, if you're a high skilled passer, like a high level skilled passer, you can still pass. If you know how to make reads and know what a cover three, cover two, cover four defense is, you're going to be fine. If you know what cover O is, you're going to be fine. I mean, basically, this year's game is about smart football and punting the ball or not trying to go for the home run hitter all the time. Short passes, running, medium passes when it calls for it is very, very the meta so far in the beta so far beta so far in the beta, excuse me. I've seen some people say you can't run on this mode, you can't run in Madden 23, but I've been able to run just fine. Really, you got to just pick your holes. You got to be able to hit the right gap. So if it means you have to slide back inside or cut to the outside or just take the 3 yard gain and not try to make everything like a one play touchdown, that's what you got to do. Don't force the ball. Don't make poor reads. I'll tell you this right now, especially for me. You cannot just throw the ball up and hope that your receiver is going to catch it. Now, if it's one-on-one coverage in the beta and you have a tall receiver like Mike Evans, he'll go get it sometimes, but sometimes it's broken up. Now, if I roll out of the pocket and I'm like, oh man, which I've seen multiple times playing against me, I've seen people roll out and try to throw cross body and they get picked off because the zones play their area. So there's going to be a bigger skill gap in this year's game. If they just touch on a little things, like if they touch on a little bit of, make the pass rush not so OP, but just tone it down a little bit and lead the game how it is, there is going to be a major skill gap, and that's something pros want. And that's something a lot of people want, to be honest. Like, last year's game was boring to me. Was I good? Yes. Am I going to be good every year? Yes. But was it one of my worst Maddens? Yes. But it was boring. Like, it was boring. Even if I was the greatest of all time, I'd still say, yeah, it's boring, but oh well, I won all the money. I mean, it was completely fake. You running around and throwing it in triple coverage and you're catching it. That's fake. So, let's go over the user feeling. The user skill is something that it's going to be a skill gap so far. You better make the right read on defense. So, like, let's say I'm covering the tight end and I sneak over to the slot wide receiver. I'm going to have to make the correct cut and the correct jump of the ball. Because if I don't make the correct jump on the ball, it's going to zip in there and they're going to burn me. There is some good user hit stick fumbles. I've been able to blow up some runs, hit stick causing fumbles. The one con that I think so far that they're going to have to fix is there's this new Madden play where, like, if the running back gets held up by the linebacker, you smash the button if you want to try to break the tackle. Let's say it's the X button on the PS5, and sometimes you'll fumble, and it depends on who you have. I think they're gonna patch a lot of stuff. So be concerned about that. I think they'll tone that down. That's a little overpowered. But like I said, I mean, there's a lot of pros in this beta. Like, I really enjoy the Madden 23 beta. I'm really excited about it. They have hit sticks, so if I hit stick you the correct way, they have realism that you'll fall down the way that I hit you. If three guys hit you, they'll make you fall down the right way. There's mid-air knockouts with players on defense catching the ball straight out of the air. It's just a new level of strategy, and it's really, really cool. They also said they brought in 3,500 new animations to show a realistic portrayal of on-field damage. So that's really cool, you guys. I mean, so that's breaking it down on the user. Now let's get into the new passing mechanics. You can use the classic setup, which is, in previous Maddens, O, square, triangle, X. You hit the button to throw it to them, yada, yada. But now there is a skill based passing. It gives you more control. So if you hold down the left trigger during a pass, a small circle will appear on the field with a smaller circle inside. You can control where that circle goes inside the circle, the bigger circle, to see if your receiver can catch it at that exact spot. A passing meter will help your QB throw a better pass if you manage to time it right. The little circle is not viewable by your opponent if you're playing online, but it is if you're playing right next to somebody. Now, I'm going to tell you something. So, I've been using the skill based passing. I was absolutely I was below average with like Matthew Stafford and Lamar Jackson. So I was like, man, this is a pain in the butt right now. I'm going to have to try to figure out something else. So I'm like, what are all the pros using? Oh, they're using Green Bay and Tampa Bay. I'm like, I wonder why. So I flip on Green Bay and I have Aaron Rodgers. All of a sudden, with that skill based passing, I'm throwing short routes, medium routes, deep routes, and pretty darn good pretty good darn reads, pretty good throwing. The meter was really cool. It's gonna take some time, you guys, but it definitely makes you be able to throw curl routes, or like I threw it back shoulder towards the sideline, that you would not technically have that control with the classic setup in previous Maddens. I also was able to flick the left stick up and then throw a high pass and circle the accuracy meter to the right, and he went to the right. It's really cool, but you definitely have to have a really good QB, or you're going to be in some, you know, trouble. Now they also have these new cuts, these new 360 cuts they call it. You can hold down the left trigger and flick the control stick to spin around enemies like a ballerina, they call it. Just a new gameplay. I haven't really figured that out yet. But like I said, the run game I've heard complaints about, but the run game is basically you got to hit the right hole, you got to make the right move, and sometimes you just got to take a 2-3 yard gain. Now, another thing, wide receiver versus defensive backs. stand-up tackles. That's what it's called. It's a stand-up tackle, a new mini quick time event. So you have to hit it to see if you can tackle them or not. So for me, just to sum it up, like the beta, the pros are it's a defensive feeling game. You're gonna have to make the right reads. You're not gonna be able to force it in. Sometimes you have to take what you get, like throw it underneath, throw the ball away. Not every play is gonna be, like forced one play touchdown. Like a few games again, I was playing this guy and he raged on the microphone. He said this game is so fake. Madden 22 was so much better. Well, what he was doing is he'd roll outside like people try to do. My defensive end, who was on contain, would disengage with the right tackle or the left tackle and go out after him. He'd have the running back underneath for 3, 4 yard gains. Well, what would he try to do? He tried to throw it deep. Well, there was a safety who was playing his correct zone. I jump in front, I pick it off, he rages, rinse and repeat. I went against another guy. This one guy was so good that he took the dump off. He took everything that was given to him. He had no issue passing the ball because why? He was smart. He was football savvy smart. He knew what he had to do. So for me, like the only con that I see so far is when you're running the ball and you get stood up and you have to mash the button. Now you don't have to do anything. You can just cover up the ball and fall down. But sometimes, like if you're going to stiff arm, right, and the stand up button is X2. Sometimes if you hit it too much and you have a weaker running back or a weaker wide receiver, he just fumbles the ball. So that will take some time getting to. But for me, that's a con. And the other con is the pass rush is a little OP. I have no I have no problem with zone coverage. Man is a little OP with the pass rush, like I said. So basically, if you fix a pass rush and tone it down just a little bit, then man coverage and zone coverage would be perfect. The problem is the pass rush is a little OP, but I mean, it's all like I said, it's all going to be about smart football. It's all going to be about playing kind of real football. Like if this game debuts tomorrow, Madden 23 comes out tomorrow, you better play smart football or you're going to get blasted. And I've gotten blasted a few times. It snowballed on me. I started forcing it, got frustrated. And then there's times that I was way smarter and I kicked butt. So for me, it's going to be just play like you're watching real football. Like sometimes you're going to make 4th and 3s. Like you can go for it still. You can go for it still and get 4th and 3 and make it. But those 4th and 18s, they're going to be way tougher because the defense pins their ear back. They know you're going to pass, and they come after you. So for me, I give this game a 9 out of 10. I also would say that this would be one of probably the best Madden games for skill gap in the last couple of years. If it stayed the same with a little bit fixed on the pass rush. The pass rush, that's my main concern. Tone it down a little bit, and you have a complete game because the zones react like they should. If you know how to pass against certain zones, certain man coverages, man and zone hybrid defense, you're going to be just fine. And sometimes you got to take the underneath. Just drop the ball for 5 yards. So this Madden, if it stays the same, is going to be one of the biggest skill gaps in recent Madden history. Anyways, you guys, this is my review. I give it a 9 out of 10. I'm really excited for Madden 23. And no, I do not work for EA, so kill it right now. If you guys have any questions, hit me up in the comment section. You know I always respond. This is Shane got you 11. I appreciate y'all.